Well, happy Friday to everybody. It is March 10th. My name is Tom. I'm a recovered alcoholic. And welcome to Recovery Live, our Friday live stream where we talk about everything addiction and recovery. Um, it's going to be the favorite episode of the year, I think, for Alicea and I, because we finally get to talk about exercise. There's so many things going on in Came to Believe Recovery these days. We have retreats coming up in May. There's some retreats over in England coming up pretty soon. We just finished our retreat in California, which you guys all know about, and we had the people from the homeless shelter. I've had some wonderful meetings in New York City with the CEO of City Relief and the Bowery Mission. There's just so many things coming down the pike for Came to Believe Recovery and what we want to do to help the broken and addicted to get a chance at life and come out and begin exercising and running and lifting weights. Then we get to say that all today. So I'd like to bring on first, we got a couple of little announcements and some very special guests coming on here first this morning to talk about an event that we're going to be part of next week, and in a very different capacity than I normally would have been involved in this event and the St. Patrick's Day Parade here in New York City. But first, I'd like to welcome my co-host today from Meadow Vista, California, Alicea Martinez.
Hello.
Hi, Alicea.
I'm so excited that we get to actually talk about exercise now today. Finally.
Our guest who's coming on, I think he's in the backstage going, what did I get myself into? You know, I think I know because Sarah and Lisa are going, why did we allow this? You know?
We always talk about it anyways, even if it's non-related, we kind of slip it in there somewhere. But now we don't need any excuses.
Right. Today's a good day for that. Well, it's a big thing for us, and we think it's a big thing for everybody to be in good physical condition, and it has so many benefits, and we'll talk about that in that part of the show. But next week, guys, and Alicea, you know about this, we are going to be partnering with a group called Sober St. Patrick's Day, and they are a group that puts on an event in New York City, and I'm not going to do the explanation of it. We have our special guest, Bill Riley from Sober St. Patrick's Day organization. I'd like to welcome Bill to the show.
Great. Good to see you. Good to see you, Tom. Great to be here.
Hey, thanks, Bill, for coming. Hey, tell us all about it. Tell us about, give us the overview of what is Sober St. Patrick's Day and what are we all going to be doing next Friday?
Oh, you bet. Well, when you think of St. Patrick's Day in New York, you think of total insanity and drunkenness. And having grown up there my whole life, it's an amateur show of all time. And actually, it's getting worse in terms of binge drinking among high school and college kids because St. Patrick's Day has become a license to get wasted. And the irony is that half the people getting drunk aren't even Irish. But so for me, what changed my life, literally, Tom, it was 13 years ago. I was outside watching the parade on St. Patrick's Day in 2011. And the parade was going by. I was feeling very Irish and proud and all good marching bands. And out of the corner of my eye, I see this kid. He was about 22. He was drunk as a skunk. It was only 12:30 in the afternoon, holding a can of beer with a bunch of his friends who were equally wasted. And he was wearing a T-shirt. And the T-shirt said, St. Patrick's Day today, hungover tomorrow. So I went up to him and I didn't pass judgment. I just said, hey, that's a pretty wild T-shirt, man. Where'd you get that? And he said, oh, I got it in the mall in New Jersey where I live. They sell 1 million of them. Isn't it cool? So right then and there, a light bulb went on. And I said, wow, what if next year in 2012, we held a rip-roaring party with world-class musicians and dancers and storytellers and all of the great stuff about the Irish, but with no alcohol. And obviously for people in recovery, because as you can imagine, in New York on St. Patrick's Day, people in recovery run for the hills because it triggers them, and there's no place to celebrate in a sane way because everybody goes to the bars and it's one drunken fest after the next. So in any event, that's what I set out to do, and people thought I was absolutely out of my mind. And I went to the Consul General of Ireland. He said, this is a really ambitious idea. So the long and the short of it was that the Red Sea parted, and I remember calling the Consul General on literally the Ides of March, 2 nights before St. Patrick's Day in 2012, and said, Noel, I just want you to know that Sober St. Patrick's Day is sold out in advance. And so he came and brought a bunch of Irish dignitaries to him. And ever since then, it's just been the alternative party on St. Patrick's Day for families and kids and people who want to celebrate and not be hijacked by the insanity. And then we also have a meeting, which I'm really thrilled that you guys are going to host this year. So at the end of the event, people are able to get a meeting and a party. So really, in a nutshell, that's what it is. It's a kick-ass party with great entertainment, but no alcohol. And it's really to reclaim the day, which is what our slogan is.
So, Bill, give me just a quick, what's the timeline? And we have our link here for anybody that wants to attend. Where is it and when does it start?
Okay, so it starts at 11 a.m. Next Friday on March 17th at the Church of Our Savior's Undercroft, underneath the church. It's at 38th Street and Park Avenue. And we're honoring former Congressman Patrick Kennedy, who, as you may know, was instrumental in passing the Mental Health Parity Act when he was a congressman. And since then, he has devoted his life to raising awareness about the dangers of binge drinking, particularly among young people, and mental health. And so we're honoring him with our annual Emerald Spirit Award. And there'll be some entertainment during that section as well. There's a group of really talented young musicians coming over from County Cork. There are about 15 teenage musicians. They're all super talented fiddle players, button accordion players, etc. So they'll be entertaining, as well as the St. Edmund's Pipes and Drum Band, which will then, after Congressman Kennedy leaves, we will all be assembling with people from Came to Believe, and we're then going to be led up Fifth Avenue. We were invited last year to march in the parade. So if anybody wants to do that, they can join us. That's free, as is the reception for Congressman Kennedy in the morning. And then we come back from the parade and we return to the Undercroft. And from 5 to 7 is when there's all the great entertainment. And then following that at 7:30, there will be an open AA and Al-Anon meeting that you guys are gonna chair. In fact, I just got off the phone with the lead musician. He's a 7-time All-Ireland champion button accordion player, and he'll be joined by Brian Conway, who's a 5-time All-Ireland fiddle player, and then the Donnie Golden step dancers are probably the best step dancers in the Northeast. They'll be performing again, and a bunch of other people like Jerry O'Sullivan, who's the best Ellen pipe player in the country. And really, it's just a very fun, family-friendly event. So there's kids, their parents, tons of people in recovery. And it's the only event I've ever been to, Tom, where you have this amazing mix of people in recovery and so-called regular folk who are not. Nobody knows who is and who isn't, but it's really a great vibe of celebrating what's really great about the Irish, particularly their music, which is so intergenerational, and dance. I mean, who the heck doesn't like that stuff? And, so that's the whole day. So it's a full day and people can come for all or part of it. And that's all on our website. You have to buy tickets for the event, which are very inexpensive, from 5 to 7. But the other two things, meaning the reception at 11 is free, and so is the marching and the parade. And it's all on the website if people want to do. We generally sell out in advance every year, so it would be good for people who want to attend to log on and get their tickets or reserve their place.
Great. Thanks, Bill. And Came to Believe got partnered up with Bill, and we have about at least 8, probably 10 of the Came to Believe volunteers, guys, local people. Actually, Dale Barker is flying. I'm not going to call him the G word because I never hear the end of it. Calling him that.
Great. Dale Barker.
Coming up, and there's like 8 to 10 of us that are coming to help with volunteering for Sober St. Patrick's Day and help put the whole event on. And plus, we'll be there answering questions, talking to anybody in recovery, anything anybody wants to know, give anybody support, whatever we can do to add that whole element to this. So we're really excited. This is something we haven't done this before. So and Bill and I have become friends here over the last couple months, talking. We've never met in person, but it's coming. And we're just so excited to come. Lisa and Casera are coming. So any of you who want to meet them and the real stars in person, you have to show up at the church and you get to meet them.
Yeah. And it's right near where the parade steps off. So it's very convenient. Yeah. It's on 38th and Park. And the parade steps off just a few blocks north of that on Fifth Avenue.
So excited for it. Well,
Yeah.
thanks so much for coming on, Bill. We're going to keep the link up throughout the show today so that we can make sure that people see it. It's being shared across all of the sites that we have control of. And we're looking forward to seeing you. And I'm going to see you next Thursday, I think, when we get ready to
That's right. That's
load
right.
in. And then
Yeah.
we're going to do it.
Great. And, I just want to congratulate what you guys do. And I mean this from the depths of my really deep down, because since I've met you, Tom, I've been a big fan of the Serenity Bible. And using the Bible in my own recovery work, it's the first time I've done it. And I'm reworking step 6. And I'm telling you, it's the most powerful thing. And I've been sober for 16 years, and redoing it this way has been extraordinary. So thank you for that. And I know that that's somewhat of the approach you guys take, and it's clearly, in my mind, the best approach.
It's what the guys did at the beginning when it worked so well.
Yep.
We didn't make it up, but we're certainly putting it out there for those that need it. And it works when it works, which is all the time. All right, Bill.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot for coming, and we'll see you next week.
Great. Thanks again.
Have a great weekend, Bill.
You bet. You too, Tom. Thanks again.
Now you're wishing you're coming, aren't you, Alicia?
I was just gonna say, I'm not going, but you'll give me updates and
No. Mm-mm.
Then Dale, the great Dale Barker will.
I'll talk to him.
Or Dara or whoever's going. I will get a hold of them.
All right, we're going to do the old what happens at St. Patrick's Day stays at St. Patrick's Day.
And don't tell Alicia any of it.
Don't tell Alicia. Well, it's really interesting, Alicia, because I never went to the St. Patrick's Day parade when I was drinking. I just didn't. I don't know why. It would have been a place for me to go, I guess. But we certainly drank. St. Patrick's Day would have started today, 10 days before when you're drinking every, pre day. And then it would have went 3 days after, that's the way we did it. But it's going to be fun to go do this and to just go and be able to do it, dead sober and enjoy things of the Irish and the everything about it that doesn't have anything to do with drinking, which if Bill had gone on, he told me all of this about St. Patrick's Day St. Patrick was not a drinker. They don't even know how it all got wrapped around drinking, how it evolved over the decades, but it did. But it's like the largest parade in New York City and the longest running parade. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So we're really excited, and but it's going to be a busy day for us as we learn everything. We're going to be going from early morning till night, but dead sober, and there will be no hangover for us.
No.
Anyway, so on to our main event today. It's really interesting, Alicia, when Casera found the Phoenix organization, which we're going to be talking to Chris today from the Phoenix. Our logo is a Phoenix rising. So it's just really interesting how that just worked out. We are a Phoenix rising, and they're the Phoenix. I'll be interested to ask Chris if they have the same thought process about why we use the Phoenix. It's rising from the ashes and into victory. I'm sure it probably is something similar. But the Phoenix is like an exercise-based recovery community growing organization that helps people in recovery and supports their recovery through all sorts of exercise and group classes and stuff all over. And I'm sure Chris can explain it much better. But we thought, especially you and I who love exercise, and it was a former life of mine. I was a fitness professional for almost 20 years before I transitioned over to do really this. There was a short time where I worked at the university. Lisa and I worked together. And then when I got recovered, this just became a natural fit to come and run this organization. And now we're affecting people and helping their addiction all over the world and the country. And big part of what we say when we tell people to live in the go, which is my shirt, part of living in the go is we take our life back. And part of taking your life back is getting physically healthy again. And we're big advocates of that. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome our very special guest, Chris Spallina, to the show.
Hey, Tom.
Hey,
Lisa.
Chris. How are you?
Hi.
Well, Chris, I did a terrible intro probably of what the Phoenix does and what they're about. But tell us a little bit, quick. Give us a 30,000-foot overview of what is the Phoenix and what are you guys all about?
I think you did pretty well, but I think we can clear up a little bit. So the Phoenix is a nationwide nonprofit organization. Our mission is to build sober, active community. So what that means is all across the country, now actually a few international locations, we provide free programming to anybody that has 48 hours of continuous sobriety. So whether that means that you're a person that identifies as being in recovery from a substance use disorder like me, or a mental health challenge also like me, a supporter of someone who is, or you just want to come try to have a sober lifestyle, all our events are free, open, and accessible to you. We are partially fitness based. I think we started in 2006, and our founder, Scott Strode, he found his own recovery through boxing and Olympic lifting and ice climbing and running triathlons. And he figured, like, how do I do this and have a bunch of people come do it with me? And that's where I think the idea for the organization came from. But we have evolved so much over the years that now we're in 42 different states, and we do everything from, we have a partnership with CrossFit, biking, hiking, climbing, yoga, meditation, art, music, whatever that we can think of that's fun, safe, and healthy, and our volunteers are willing to share their passion and skill for, we'll make it happen. So we're really like, a large portion of what we do is fitness and physical activity, but we also make sure that we have something for everybody, regardless of athletic ability, physical limitations, etc.
I noticed you have like a book club or a book groups.
Yes. Yep. We have on our virtual platform and also in real life, in person. We do that across the country. We even have a Dungeons and Dragons role playing group now through the virtual platform. Yeah. I mean, that's what it is. Like, at the end of the day, I think, Tom, you said it earlier, like, it's kind of really all about community connection, right? We can't do this alone. We know that we can't do that alone. So it's not always about the activity or the discipline that we're providing or organizing. It's really, at the end of the day, about having a shared experience with others in the community. So if that looks like a book club for you, that's what we want to make happen for you. If that looks like doing a 45-minute exhaustive workout with lots of heavy dumbbells, then we also want to make sure that that's something that's available to you.
You know, it's Chris, it's so right down, aligning with the things that we promote with people when they come into recovery. They've done something to get recovered, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. And how do people come to you, and how is that supported alongside with this community and these activities, which are really important. I mean, I learned how to play guitar. You can see the guitars behind me. That's after I got sober. So it's a little bit of an individual thing, but it's something that I did to help me just grow and be able to take on another aspect of life to take my life back. But I went back to school and got a master's degree and a bachelor's degree and a master's degree. And those were other things that we promote as well, as people go ahead and do something to get your life back. And being in community, the fellowship behind what we do, which is we bring people through the 12-step program in a weekend, and then we promote fellowship and connection and community. It's really a lot of exactly what you guys are promoting is we have to do this together. We have to get people that understand what we're going through, that we can bounce things off of. We can share experience, strength, and hope, as they say, and a lot of victories. And the more we can do that, we find the better people are off. If they get hooked up with a group right away, they do better. And we tend to want them to hook up with groups that would do activities. I think that's an advance. I say we, me and Alicia and I.
There's not many of us.
Activity that would be more fitness related. It is something I think that has a great benefit. And Anna did crocheting and school.
We have a in New York City. We were just talking with Bill from the Sober St. Patrick's. Our New York City team runs a knitting circle every week at a library in New York City. So that's really what it is. Anything that you can think of that we can make happen, we will.
It's really awesome. So it's really really does dovetail, especially with the living in the go part of our program, is then after, where would they go? And this is someplace that we would send all of our people and say, here, go to the Phoenix, find something to get connected with. And there's so many offerings, and they're all over the place. You guys are everywhere.
And it's amazing because not only can you take a class or do that, you can be a volunteer and run it or lead it, right? Once
Right.
you go through the training. Because I looked on that. I took a yoga class yesterday and it was really awesome. I'm like, wow, I could do this. I could teach some classes. And then there I go. Blah, blah, blah. My brain is like,
Right. Well, that's exactly it, right? When I mean, 12-step recovery is part of my journey. And when I first came into 12-step room, it was like take a coffee commitment, set up the chairs, be the greeter at the door, like be of service, right? So like now we're kind of just like parlaying on that, like, hey, we're being of service because it helps us in our own recovery journey, or if it's someone that is somehow indirectly touched by addiction, they're a father or son or daughter or friend of someone that is suffering from addiction, and they want to be of service. We're just continuing that. Like we're giving the opportunity to be of service and share your passion or skill, whatever it is, to help others along their journey.
And that's interesting that you say that, Chris, because I did read on the website and in my research that family members are welcome too.
Right. For sure.
And, we say the family got sick together, the family gets well together.
Yeah. I think there's a lot to be said for that. I like to use an example here. Actually, really good friend of mine. He's about 54 years old. This is a person that never had any substance use disorder challenges personally, but he has some family that has, and he comes to hang out with us on Friday nights to do all kinds of different stuff. And when I asked him, earlier on why, he's like, because everyone I know is going out drinking on Friday. I just want to come and have some fun, and you guys know how to have fun. I'm like, so now we got this guy that's like a successful businessman. He's 50 something years old, like acting as somewhat of a mentor, a role model to the people that are just coming in that 48 hours sober. Like he never had challenge that we have faced, but he's there knowing why we're there, and he's supporting us in it, and he wants to see us succeed and help us succeed.
Wow. That's a great story. So we have a couple questions for you, and then we'll see where they go. They may go off into tangent into some other ones. You guys talk about, and Alicia and I were questioning each other about this, only a 48-hour requirement. So is this just self-reported? Is there any method that you guys check up? Is there anything that anyone has to prove when they come in?
It's generally self-reported. So we don't, obviously we don't drug test or ask you at the door or anything like that. I like to think of it as this. If we are doing, let's say, rock climbing, even if we were in a sober active community and I was running a rock climbing gym and you came to my gym and you smelled of alcohol, or you had bright red eyes and Doritos all over your chest from like, I would probably ask you to come back the next day. Right. So it's partially just a physical safety thing and also like an emotional safety thing for all of our members. So 48 hours, we chose that number because it's such a low barrier. And when we introduce ourselves at the beginning of class, we don't introduce ourselves as, hi, I'm Chris. I have 5 years sober today. I'm just Chris. Because if somebody were to have a recurrence of symptoms or fall off the wagon, whatever it is, 48 hours is a very low barrier of entry, and we want them to feel comfortable to come back right away.
That's great. So there's not a big pressure that these guys are all going to make fun of me or do something.
Exactly. We're not asking you to, not that this is not that talking negatively, but it's not like you have to come back in and like pick up a white chip. We just want you to come back.
Right. Well, and like that comment that I'm sure that's Casera put up is person first attitude. And we go with that too. You're a person first. You're not an addict or something. You're a person suffering from an addiction, but you're a person first. So the second part of the question is, and it really has two parts with it. So you kind of answered the one is you don't check with them to see if they're in a program of any sort, but what type of influence or information do you give, if any, to people like somebody that comes in 48 hours sober and they're going to come into a yoga class, let's say, and they're 48 hours, but they're hurting and they obviously need something else. What do you guys do with somebody like that to give them something else to do that would be, what we would call like 12-step program or something, rehab?
Right. Yeah. So good question. All of our staff and our volunteers, they go through a training. And so we as just for instance, like a state lead, like Kim is our New Jersey state lead. She has a full resource guide of every resource that's available for anybody that would necessarily need a resource, whether that's housing, rehabilitation, treatment, psychotherapy, 12-step refuge recovery, whatever it is. And we make it known that in the beginning of our each one of our events, the volunteer or whoever's leading the event will talk through our community standards. And one of those community standards is staff and instructors are here to help. If you have any questions, concerns, or need additional recovery resources, please let us know. So we often, we make ourselves available if a person were to need a higher level of care or additional resources, that we are the resource for the resource, if that makes sense. Like we know who to pass them to or who to connect them with. And through our networking and through all the outreach that we do, we've made some really great connections within the resources that are available in each of our locations. So we normally will have like a warm handoff to whoever that is that we're passing them to.
So that was a great answer. I mean, that was something I didn't know that you did, and that's fabulous. I mean, obviously necessary. What percentage would you say of those that come in and participate in activities are in some sort of recovery program outside of coming to your programs? If you could even
I can't really guesstimate. I'm sure that there's some statistics somewhere from surveys that we've sent out about that, but I can speak from my own experience here. Like New Jersey last year, we had about 3,000 people that attended an event in some way, shape, or form. And I would, if I had to guess, I would guess that like 65% or more have some other additional pathway, 75%, something like that. Whether that is therapy, medication-assisted recovery, a 12-step community fellowship, whatever it is. We don't necessarily, one of our other community standards, good point, is that we believe there's no one right way to recover. So whatever it is to get you here, whatever you did to get here, like just keep coming, you know?
I hear you. Where are you in New Jersey, Chris? Because I'm in New Jersey too.
So New Jersey, we have our home base in New Jersey is in Belmar. We have a small studio space in Belmar that is like our, kind of like our headquarters, but we also, our volunteer-led model allows us to kind of expand a little bit beyond the realm of our physical location with our volunteers also offering space. So we have a gym in Medford, New Jersey. We have a gym in Asbury Park, New Jersey, Manahawkin. We have some stuff going on up in Morris County. We're moving into Middlesex County a little bit more. So it's just really based upon where we have someone that wants to see our program grow and thrive and a volunteer raises their hand. So we're spread out a little bit, but if you download our app, Tom, it has a geolocator on there and it'll show you everything that's happening within 50 miles of where you are. I'm
in Bedminster. Well, you know, that's such how we have to grow too, Chris, because we need a champion in an area and somebody that wants to grab a hold and do the groundwork, walk in the groundwork. And so we grow where people will want to grow. You know, we're kind of stuck with where's the volunteer that comes to us and says, we'd love to do this program here. And then we can work around it. And that's until we get big enough where we can really seed, which is what we're trying to do. We grow the same way that you guys do.
Yeah, there's another aspect to that too. So like, because we are a nonprofit, you're a nonprofit as well, right?
Right.
So like if the other way that we're able to like seed growth is if a philanthropist or a donor or a group of donors says, hey, Detroit needs help. We want to help you. We want to help fund it to get it started here. And then we can kind of like, you know, light a little bit more of a fire and get things started in those type of cities.
Well, you know, I'm glad that you said that, because that is what happened to us in California, in the San Francisco area. We had somebody that said, we need you guys here and here's some money to do it. You know, I said, well, it's going to take this to do it. And they said, okay. And then we were in shelters and doing some things that we're doing to bring people out of very, really deep, dark places and give them a shot at having a great, successful life. And the Phoenix is, I believe, a natural fit for us to be able to partner with you guys at some level. We can keep talking that we would, as people come through our program and they're looking for things to do to support their recovery, that we would certainly be referring them to you guys.
Absolutely. We'd love that. And let's continue the conversation too. I think I can think of a couple of different ways that right away, when you do download our app, we also have like groups on there. Like Oxford House has an alumni group on there. So we could potentially, if it's something that interested, we could put a Came to Believe group on there that all your members could come in and kind of group up and chat with each other.
Well, that would be great. So I guess quick. The second question is really an Alicia question for you. What are you familiar? I'm sure you probably looked up what we do, but are you familiar with what we do?
I am broadly familiar with what you do with some of the retreats. Kassar told me a lot about the retreats that you've done and the being able to take people through the steps over a weekend. I think it's amazing.
Right. So just for the sake of our audience and people that might be listening, what Came to Believe Recovery does is we have our roots back to the founders of AA. We have our roots back to one of the guys who was sponsored by Dr. Bob. And those of you that are familiar with Alcoholics Anonymous and the Big Book know that Bill Wilson and Dr. Bob are credited with the most of the content for it, or the beginning of Alcoholics Anonymous. Well, Clarence Snyder was one of the early 40 guys as well. And he was taken through his steps by Dr. Bob. And very quickly, I think, he was in the hospital a while, and then he was taken through it very quickly. And he took one of our founders through the steps, actually 3 of our founders through the steps, and taught them exactly what they were doing back in the 30s. And so we've developed this program where basically what we're doing, Chris, is we're just going back to doing what they were doing at the beginning. We didn't come up with anything new. It's not Came to Believe's program. What we're really doing is what they were doing at the beginning that was so successful. And we're taking people through the steps quickly. And then we're launching them on 10, 11, and 12, as we call it, living in the go, so that they can commence a way of living that has them growing and connecting and doing things. And we're wildly successful. That people that grab a hold of them, we're tracking an 87% success rate a year later. And
that's unheard of.
It's unheard of.
We have a similar statistic where something like a little more than 3/4 of the people that are coming. That's unheard of in the treatment world.
It's unheard of, right?
Mm-hmm.
We there was a treatment center in Morristown that said they had a 90% success rate, but when you looked at it, it was after 45 days. So,
okay.
I'm like, well, that's not that impressive.
Yeah. So you can basically come stay at this place where we're going to keep you away from anything that might tempt you, and you'll stay sober.
Right.
I mean, I stayed sober for a long time in jail. I guess jail has a
right. It's when you come out that
exactly.
that it is. So that's what we do, and we've been really successful at it. And then, really encouraging people to do something to get back into life. And we were so interested because of a lot of the focus of the physical activity that the Phoenix has, because it's been such a benefit for Alicia and I in our recovery. I mean, I tell everybody, when I got sober, the second day I got sober, I started running again. I just knew how much better I felt when I was in good shape, and I felt good. It has done nothing but support my growth, and all across every category, the staying healthy, fit, and eating well. And so much so that I was in the fitness industry for 20 years. Worked through the YMCA system here in New Jersey and in Florida. So it's just such a passion for both of us. But Alicia, why don't you take the second question for Chris?
Did you start the question already?
I did not. It's the
okay, because I thought
video
you said it was
question,
for me.
yeah.
And then
Yeah,
I'm
it's
like,
for
what
you.
question was it? Well, I just wanted to say, like, we watched the YouTube, and I watched some interviews that you were on. And then I don't know who it was, but someone said in the video, like, I'm not an addict, I'm a runner. And I just love that, because we say we're recovered. So we're not claiming that addiction. We're not denying the past, but so is that something you guys just say, or something you teach, or you just like?
Yeah, I won't say that that's like a thing that as an organization that we put out there, but I can say you might have been watching our founder Scott Strode's TED Talk, where he said,
we watched that.
Each time I came into the gym, I was a little bit less an addict and more of an athlete, and I feel the same way. So like, again, a 12-step is part of my journey, but I feel like walking in and saying, "Hi, I'm Chris, I'm an addict," is kind of like counterproductive at some point in my recovery journey, right? So when people come to our classes, our events, we're not asking you to identify by anything other than your name, right? And that's it, because we want you just to feel that you're a person, not you're an addict, because you're not. I'm Chris. I'm a CrossFitter. I'm a yoga I'm a yogi, I'm a biker, whatever that might be. And I think that's really important. And I think that's part of the healing journey for me. I don't need to remind myself every day by, identifying myself as this thing, when really I feel like it kind of keeps me sick almost.
Exactly. I love that.
I mean, we don't say you get over pneumonia. You don't keep saying I'm still recovering from pneumonia.
Right. I'm a recovered pneumoniac, right? Something like that.
You don't say anything like that. And that positive self-talk saying, I'm not getting a little healthier. I'm healthy. I'm going to live a healthy lifestyle. That positive talk, giving yourself a new identity is very important. We would promote that as well. And I got to tell you, Chris, I would rather people come in and just say my name is Chris than say I'm an addict. If you had to say one or the other, I'd dump that. If we, in our groups, they typically say they're recovered or whatever they are. But I don't know how good that is to have to identify, especially if you're going to take on that identity,
Right. And some people will still choose to, and that's fine too. If in your journey right now, you are identifying as, hi, I'm Chris, I'm an alcoholic, that's fine. We're here. We're here for you, but me personally, like, I think that now I'm going to be celebrating 5 years in about 55 days, as long as I keep doing the right thing. I'm done with identifying myself as an addict.
Right. That's awesome. We don't say we're cured, but we say we're recovered. Because I am not suffering the symptoms of my addiction on a daily basis. So why would I'd take on that identification? I'm not tempted. I'm not stressed, and I'm living and free to now live in society with everybody else. I'm not different. I have the same problems everybody else. Actually, I have some tools some of the normies don't have to do some things, right?
Yeah, I think about that sometimes too. It's like, I guess it's maybe like a little bit of a warped way to think of it, but sometimes I think about, like, if I had never had the challenge that I had with substance use disorder, I would have never had a reason to make these tremendous improvements in my life, right? I learned these tools, coping mechanisms, fitness, like organization, discipline, how to eat healthy. If everything was just, middle ground my whole life, I wouldn't have had some reason to say, like, wow, this is unsustainable. I really have to improve,
We have one of our Al-Anons, normies, but if you know her, she's not normal, but normies. But she's she'll say,
who are you talking about?
Sue Foreman. She'll say, for a normie, just okay works. Like, some of their bad character traits and some of the things that they're doing are not life and death for her, but they were life and death for me. If I didn't get a handle on some things, I'm going to die. She has some issues, and she says, it may mess with my life and cause me to not be successful in whatever category. So I agree. I would never have looked at myself as close, or continue to look at myself as close as I can, had I not been really, maybe a day or two from being dead. That's why people do call themselves grateful addicts or whatever. You'll hear that in meetings. And Tom Clancy's with us.
Tom Clancy.
He's a runner.
The author?
No,
but he's a big time runner.
Yeah.
And did you see what Anna wrote about? She's lost 20 pounds being inspired by me and keto and what we talk about. That's amazing.
Fantastic. And Anna also asked what my date is. It's May 24th of 2018.
May 24th. Wow. The next question is you too, Alicea. You took the yoga class yesterday. What's your insights? You actually went and...
I did. I liked it. I loved it, actually. Yeah. So I went because I was hoping there was an in-person. I'm in Northern California. I haven't found an in-person yet, but maybe I will once I get more in there on the app. But then I saw there was a yoga class at 2:30 my time, which is perfect. And it was so easy. She sent me the link, and then I just set up my laptop and plugged in. There was probably 10 of us in there. I was like, there's not going to be anybody, but there's a lot of people in there. And she did say the beginning, like you said, of, whatever your motto is, and meet everybody welcome. And and it was great. And then I was like, I could do that. I could take classes. I could teach classes. I could.
You definitely could. And we would love for you to. If you don't see yoga or fitness in Northern California, you can bring fitness in
Yeah,
Northern California. We would love to help you do that.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested in looking more into it.
I can
And I thought
also,
it was, go
sorry,
ahead.
go ahead. I can
No, I
also
was,
share with you a little bit about our virtual programming that was like hugely impactful for me. So I think the date now was March 11th or 12th of 2019 that we got a phone call that was like, hey, yeah, we didn't have a virtual platform, an online, like most people didn't before the pandemic area.
right.
Time, yeah. And they called us and said, hey, it was a Friday. We got to stop our in-person programming. We got together as a team and we had our full virtual platform launched by Monday on Zoom. So we had a full week, a full day of classes every day, 7 days a week by Monday. Like our members are going to need this, what we are offering, and we have to figure out a new way to do it. So right away we launched that. And I'm also a meditation instructor. So I was in the early days of the pandemic, I was leading our morning meditation 7 days a week until we got some more people on board. And what was really fun was watching my computer screen. In the first couple of days, there was 2 or 3 or 4 people in there. And then that same thing that I experienced in person in our programming of the community just growing and growing and growing. Like after a few weeks, there was 10 people, 20 people, 30 people, the same people coming back. And then I remember at one point there was 55 people in one of these 7 a.m. morning meditations. There was a person in there from Pakistan. There was a person in there from Paris. There was people from all over the country. And I was just watching this community grow on my computer screen, sitting right there in my little meditation cushion. And it was like this really fantastic experience. So since then, we have it took us from 2006 until the end of 2021 to reach 100,000 members, and we reached 150,000 last year. So we really, like, I don't want to say like, the having the pandemic hit us and we had to find another way to operate really far exceeded our expectations about how many people we were going to be able to reach and how we were going to be able to operate in places that we didn't have physical staff or physical locations.
So, Chris, the same thing happened to us. Of course, all of our in-person stuff ended, as of whatever that was, March 9th. And I think it was April of that year, 2020, whenever we launched our first virtual retreat. So we launched into doing our retreats virtual. And like you, all of a sudden it expanded. And we had these people from all over the country and in UK and Ireland coming, and they were having the same effect that they were on ground. It was something we didn't expect. And we ran, I think, 15 of them we've run now since it. But it also has spawned the meetings that we run virtually. So like you, like as I was going to note, that there's Phoenix programs that you can go to, but if you can't go to them, there's ones online that you can see every day.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with Came to Believe. There's a Came to Believe meeting or one on our website every day. So if you can't get to a meeting and you need it, there's one every day somewhere that you can link to. It's so important. So that's what they call it, the pandemic benefits or something. I mean,
right.
How would we have known? And Chris, our whole California expansion basically came from virtual, because that's how these guys found us in California. And then, we liaised with them and then they brought us in on ground. So what a wonderful tool it has been, as much as it was a pain during that whole time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
I really wish I bought stock in Zoom the first week.
Right.
Man.
Or Federal Express, right? Because the shipping of stuff, right?
Right.
Amazon, Federal Express and UPS, if you'd have bought that stock before the pandemic.
And gym equipment in 2020, they were sold out for like forever.
Right.
Yeah. So, if we do have another question, but I just a little bit about you, Chris, and what got you in. You've clearly identified that you're in recovery right now. Can you give us a 3-minute of what happened to you and what got you to the point where you knew you couldn't do this anymore?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think I had a lot of those points, but I think that what led me on this journey to where I'm at today is in 2013, I ended up going to prison in New York State for a drug possession charge. I got arrested at the Fish concert. Everyone knows the band Fish. I got
Fish,
arrested at
of
the
course.
Fish concert in upstate New York, and I went to in upstate New York. They locked me up. I went to Elmira, and luckily they have a diversion program there. It's called shock incarceration. So it's basically like a 6-month boot camp style program where it's like, sir, yes, sir. You got to march everywhere you go. And like part of it every morning was waking up and doing hours of physical fitness. And like I'm super out of shape, still smoking like a pack and a half a day, and like no organization, no discipline in my life whatsoever. Fast forward towards the end of that, like I started really, like you said, Tom, you started running and you started feeling better, you started looking better, all that stuff. And that's where I was while I was in there. I kind of had this flash like, wow, I'm really optimistic about what life might look like without substances when I leave here. I got out of there and I stayed clean and sober for over a year just by running every morning and going to do CrossFit and doing 5Ks and Spartan races and stuff. What happened is after that year, I got off parole and I didn't have that little bit of oversight on me and I didn't have anything else in place. And I just started then running the 5K and then going to have a beer afterwards. And then I quickly found my way back to my drug of choice, which was heroin. So between 2015 and 2018, I piled on a whole bunch more legal trouble and problems with my family and financial, all the things that go along with, a crippling opioid addiction. And then on May 24th of 2018, I had a very near fatal overdose right here, right across the street from where I am right now. Went to the county jail, and like one of the cop that came and gave me the Narcan, like when I woke up, and I remember like exactly what she said. She's like, there was 2 kids playing basketball. I was in my car. I wasn't driving, but I was in my car. 2 kids playing basketball, like 50 yards away from me. She was like, you could have killed those kids and you would have spent the rest of your life in jail. If you want to die, just go home and do it. And I was like, shit. So I went to the hospital. I got cleared from the hospital. I went to the county jail for a couple of months. And while I was there, my attorney, my girlfriend, and my parents worked out a deal with the judge that they would release me if they could find a treatment center that would take me. So I went to treatment directly from jail, in the sheriff's van in handcuffs. And when I got to this treatment center, I sat down on this clinician's couch and told her a little bit about my story, about what had worked, what hadn't worked. And she introduced me to yoga, and I kind of like laughed in her face at first. I was like, yeah, right. That's going to solve all my problems. But really, I was at that point where if you told me, like, if you sacrifice a chicken every day, it'll keep you sober, I would have sacrificed a chicken every day. So I started doing yoga and started practicing meditation. And like within a couple of weeks, it just took right away. I felt, that optimistic feeling again. And while I was in there, somebody came in. Her name is Amy, to teach a yoga class. And she asked me what I was going to do when I left there, and I didn't really have an answer. It was like you said before, like the 45 days while I'm in there is no problem. It's what happens when I leave. And she introduced me to the Phoenix. She said, well, why don't you come see me? We have this place called the Phoenix. We're offering free yoga, CrossFit, hiking, biking, climbing, etc. And all you got to do is stay sober for 48 hours. So when I left treatment, I went there and I just never left. And now they're stuck with me 5 years later.
Stuck with you.
Yeah.
Stuck with you. We keep peppering this through that how good we feel when we were exercising and getting fit. And that is a big part of this, how much it helped my mental state to just feel like I could be successful at something. And there's real physiologic stuff that goes on inside us when you begin to get healthy and your sleep regulates and your food regulates. Do you guys do any nutrition counseling? Do you have nutrition classes? Because we know it's such a big part of being healthy.
So we have had some here and there. It's kind of like a little bit of a thing that we would have to make sure that it's the right fit, because some of our members, a good portion of our members, are not only suffering from substance use disorder, but also eating disorders. So like we wouldn't want to, yeah, exactly. Like we wouldn't want to be the one giving like nutrition advice or food advice and not land perfectly or be taken in, the wrong way. So we kind of would leave that to the professionals, but I think from a lot of the places that we operate with our volunteer-led programming, like a lot of our CrossFit gyms or other gyms that, our members eventually end up getting connected to, they can find what they are looking for in those regards there, but not directly from us at the Phoenix.
And we would be the same. We don't give any specific advice on anything like that either. But we would tell people to go get advice.
Right.
You
Sure.
know, we'd say
Absolutely.
should go find a nutritionist and go somewhere because
absolutely.
Same as we'd tell them, you need to go see a doctor. There's something that you think there's more things going on here. We're not against medically aided treatment at all. If you need to be on something, go be on it.
Whatever's keeping you alive, keep taking it.
Yeah. Keeping you alive.
For sure. Yeah, like we talked about earlier, if somebody would have come and like that was the additional resource that they were seeking, we would know what direction to point them in to get them what they were looking for.
I have a question. Now
sure, go ahead, Alicea.
Let me jump in. Like, what is your title or job with the Phoenix?
So I am the senior program manager for the Mid-Atlantic region. So that means I oversee our staff and programming in Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Maryland, Delaware, Virginia, Washington, D.C., and West Virginia.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Do you travel much?
I'm lucky in the fact that my region is all like accessible by car or train if I needed to. So I'll usually I do a lot of traveling between like Philadelphia and New York City, but I haven't had to do much beyond that. That's where we have staff. The other states, like I mentioned, down like a little bit more south is all volunteer led. And we have another person, Zobel, who's amazing, who is our volunteer engagement person for those regions. And Zobel does a little bit more travel into those regions.
And how do you guys get your funding? Where's the major sources of your funding?
Mostly private donors. There's some government and state and local grants that would come through or local grants that we can write for, but generally private donors.
And that's what we're told too. I mean, we're in a fundraising mode all the time, which you guys probably are too.
Yep.
It's all the time. And we find that that's where most of the money does come from for all sorts of nonprofits is from private. You get people it's a passion of theirs, whatever your mission is.
That's a big part of it, I think. And then the other piece of it is for our organizations like ours, Tom, I think like private donors know specifically what they want to see happen in their community. And as opposed to, if you get one of those large SAMHSA grants, there's like tons of reporting that goes along with it. It's a little bit more restrictive on how you're able to use that money, not that it's a bad thing, but if a donor comes up and is like, I really want to grow the Phoenix in Philadelphia, here's this money to do it. Like we can really do it the way that we know that's going to work and not spend so much time on like making sure we're doing it the way that the government grant says we have to.
Yeah, we haven't gone for any government grants yet for those very reasons, the
That's
restrictions of them and the reporting and the stuff that they want. And there isn't, unless it was big money. But we seek mostly unrestricted grants if we can get them anyway. We have some people that'll support a retreat and say we're going to support it. We love that, and support people coming in because the finances, our retreats are very inexpensive if you look at it for what you get, 2 nights, 6 meals, and a program for a weekend for $250 or $300. It's ridiculously cheap.
Yeah.
But not if you don't have a nickel and you're on the street, right?
Right.
Well, this was just great. Alicea, we're running towards the end. Do you have any other burning questions that's got you?
Not really. One, but it's might be complicated, and I don't know if it's even a thing. But part of my addiction was exercise, so I was exercise bulimic, so I made it my job, and I exercised 40 plus hours a week. So I'm wondering if you might have those people around in there, but you probably wouldn't know.
Yeah, I mean, I can only speak from my own experience in the programming that I've done in my region, and I have not to say that isn't an experience that somebody's having, but if they are, they haven't came to me and told me that they are having that experience, and I haven't recognized it. But it's a thing for sure. I catch myself sometimes like knowing I should take a rest day, but still being like, I can't take a rest day. I'm gonna lose all my fitness if I don't exercise today, right? All my gains are gone, right?
Yeah.
If I eat ice cream,
we agree. That's true.
If I eat ice cream tonight, like my whole week of training was for nothing, right? All of those things.
I agree. That's
it was. You see how we are. Don't even tell me you eat ice cream. That sends us
What?
over the edge.
I don't eat sugar.
Yeah. So we're still growing, Chris, as you can tell.
That's it.
Work in progress. Sarah is very adamantly saying yes behind the scenes.
Yeah,
because she knows us. Yeah, it's a journey, and we're on it, but it's not perfect. Well, Chris, I'd love to have you on again. I'd love to, maybe if you wanted to come on sometime live from one of your locations or something, we'd love to do something like that.
Sure.
We're going to keep this conversation going in the back stream. I'd love to work on how we can help you and how you can help us, or not help us, help those coming in. That somebody comes in the door and maybe our program fits for them. We'd love to be a resource if it works for them. It's a quick, proven method. And for the people that it fits, Chris, it works, and get them back in their life. And so our mission is to just get to be accessible by as many people as we can, however we can be accessible, so that at least they get the option.
That's it.
That here's this thing you could do if you want to.
That's it. Remove all of as many of the obstacles as we can, right? Make it available to anybody that wants to pursue it.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you so much, Chris. I hope you have a great weekend. And if you're in New Jersey, you want to join us for Sober St. Patrick's, I guess you guys are talking about it. Let's talk offline. Come join us if you want. March in the parade.
I'm going to connect us with our New York City team on an email, and we'll continue that conversation. I think that they would absolutely love to.
All right. But we got orange shirts. I don't know how many, but if depending on how many people come, you get a shirt. But we'd love to see you guys. It'd be great. We're going to march. How else would we go to the parade, right? Normally, we would be like under the table. I wouldn't have made it to the parade because I was too drunk.
Right. Right. Another, so since we're joking about fitness sessions and nutrition, St. Joseph, I'm Italian, and St. Joseph's Day is the same week as St. Patrick's Day. Although St. Joseph's Day is, like, for me, and always has been, marked by eating Italian pastries. So, like, it's kind of like the other one, that, like, we got to find a little bit of balance. So I don't have to stay away from it entirely, but I do have to find the balance of it. And St. Joseph pastries are probably my favorite Italian pastry that is ever made. So if you happen to be walking by an Italian bakery on March 18th, ask them for the St. Joseph's Day pastry. Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know anything about that.
Yeah,
that's really, really interesting. Wow. All right. Well, you have a great weekend, Chris, and we'll have you on again. And good luck to you with everything that you're doing.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Alicea.
Thank you.
We can have him on again next week. What do you think, Alicea?
Yeah, let's do it every week. The Chris show.
The Chris show.
Doing a T-shirt because they're doing
hashtag recovered. Should we do a T-shirt? I'm getting the no from behind the scenes.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, you just poor Jamie.
Download the app to the Phoenix. That's your reward.
Download the app to the Phoenix,
you don't need a shirt. You need a workout.
Guys, in all seriousness, I mean, as much as we're a little nutty about exercise, it is a great thing to do to get involved in something community afterwards. And the Phoenix offers so many other opportunities for you to get out there and meet some people and do some healthy things. You have your AA meetings, you have your 12-step meetings, but there's more to life. There's things going on. We call it living in the go. There's things to advance your life and meet your new people and do new things and learn, because we can now. Once you become sober, we have talents and abilities that we don't even know about, and we don't figure them out until we get sober. And you're never too old to start it. And I'm sure Chris would agree. People of any age can come. I mean, my father's 93 yesterday, and he started physical therapy, and he will respond even at 93. The body will respond to exercise. The muscles will grow and get stronger, and we're seeing it already. So there's no downside, guys, to doing it. And it's good for your head, good for socially. It's good for everything to be involved in something in life. So the Phoenix is a wonderful option. You're going to hear a lot more about them with us over time. And again, go to their website if you want to go on to some programming. Go onto our website if you're in that place where you just can't keep going anymore and you need a way out, guys, and come learn how the founders did the 12-step program. And they identified as recovered. You could too. And start a life as early as the Monday after retreat and grow into that fourth dimension of existence that they talk about in the book, and start your life doing who knows what that you never imagined. I'll tell you, 6 months later, if you'd have told me I was going to be in college, I would have told you you're crazy. Alicea, it's been great having you on as a co-host. Guys, a little spoiler alert. Alicea will be joining as a permanent co-host. We are looking at changing the time that Came to Believe Recovery. It's going to be a big deal that we're going to move Recovery Live, but it's going to allow Alicea to be a co-host, and we'll be able to come at you with continued programming throughout this year and next year, and all sorts of fun stuff going on. So everybody have a happy Friday. Next Friday is St. Patrick's Day. We're going to be doing some live feeds from the parade, but we won't actually have a Recovery Live, I don't think. Right, girls? No, we're not. Right. We're going to do live feeds from the parade. So join us. And if you're in the New York metropolitan area, come join us. It'll be fun. Sorry, Alicea, you don't get to come, and nobody tell Alicea anything. You want a chance to come. Anyway,
whatever.
Everybody, have a great weekend. We'll see you next time.